and while this story is not connected to AOC, who's advocating for more censorship, because she is, you guys may not notice, but in the background, there's a big fight that's happening within the Star Wars community, where you had YouTube content creators try and cancel other content creators, okay? Now, the worst thing you could do as a content creator is try and cancel and terminate and destroy somebody else's life work. I mean, I think that's pretty effed up. I think it's really effed up. And Star Wars Theory is in the fight for his life because Forbes and corporate media are trying to slander him and turn him into this monster because other YouTubers were jealous of his success. Listen, this business being online, it's a tough business and it's very competitive. I love it. It's not everybody's cup of tea. And yes, I do encourage more citizen journalists to get out there. But now the environment is getting insane. And this goes for all genres, all the genres on YouTube, be it independent media, entertainment, all of it. Because when you have a politician like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who is Nancy Pelosi 2.0, advocating for more censorship, you better believe that it's going to get nuts. And I want to say that maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe I'm wrong. But I've gone through this now for about 4 years. Ever since Biden got elected into office, hard lens media has suffered a lot. But so have our colleagues in independent media. And, of course, it's also seeping into everybody else on the YouTube space. Got to be careful what you say, but hold on. Maybe all of you are saying, well, gee, Kit, maybe you're over-exaggerating. Maybe you're going too far. Maybe, just maybe, you're wrong. Well, I'm not wrong about this. And I just want all of you to see this. For this right here is AOC herself. It's only 40 seconds, so it won't be too much pain. Here's what AOC is proposing.
I do think that several members of Congress in some of my discussions have brought up media literacy because that is a part of what happened here. And we're going to have to figure out how we rein in our media environment.
Reining in the media environment, reining it in. You know what that means? Oh, you broke this guideline. Oh, you broke this rule here. Oh, you broke this line and you shouldn't have crossed it. There's a lot of things that the system had to fix and readjust. There's a time where you couldn't really talk about Hunter Biden's laptop or even the pandemic. It's still a little difficult now. But I mean, my goodness, folks. I mean, I've been in these trenches for a long time, and here's a Democrat politician saying, reining in the media. Now, yes, there are Republican politicians who have said and also contributed to the censorship system that we are getting ourselves locked into. And both parties are part of it. Both parties are part of it. Both parties are part of it. But when you have such a fancy, pretty face like AOC coming forward, my goodness. Let's rewind that just a little bit, folks.
That is a part of what happened here. And we're going to have to figure out how we rein in our media environment so that you can't just spew disinformation and misinformation. It's one thing to have differing opinions, but it's another thing entirely to just say things that are false. And so that's something that we're looking into. I do think that
So looking into, reining in. Well, let's talk about that reining in. Let's talk about what it looks like. Because, folks, this is from RT, just to trigger the libs. U.S. crackdown on RT will fail, the New York Times says. Oh, my goodness. So the latest the U.S. crackdown on RT will ultimately not prevent it from bringing alternative viewpoints to audiences in the West and elsewhere, but will somewhat damage its outreach to new followers, the New York Times reported on Saturday, citing experts. Last week, the U.S. announced a new raft of sanctions targeting several Russian outlets after Washington claimed they've been trying to covertly undermine democracy, to which other platforms have also been hit. In 2018, when Hardlands Media was on radio, When Alex Jones got hit, both Daniel and I agreed that this was setting a dangerous precedent that would cause so much more censorship to not only people like Alex Jones, but to groups, anti-war groups, activists, libertarians, Greens, socialists, everybody, independent media. We were all going to be hit by it. My goodness. Did we hit the nail on the head with that one? U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, Blinken, accused RT of functioning as a de facto arm of Russian intelligence. Oh, like CNN, ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox News, New York Times, Washington Post don't do that either. State Department spokesman Jamie Rubin blamed RT for the fact that so much of the world has not been fully supportive of Ukraine as you would think they would be. Yes, because only one media is stopping everybody. Maybe here's an idea about maybe why people aren't so on board with the war in Ukraine, because nobody wants a sequel we've all been dreading for, and that's called World War III. You know, I mean, I for one, and maybe I'm speaking for myself here. Maybe I don't want to see the sequel. Maybe I don't want to wake up one morning and I look out my window because I can actually see the city skyline. Maybe one day I don't want to just, look out the window and see a mushroom cloud in the sky and be like, oh, hey, we just got nuked. Maybe I don't want World War III, okay? Maybe other people don't want World War III. Controversial statement there. Following the move, U.S. tech giant Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagrams, banned several Russian news networks. Hey, Zuckerberg, I thought you were going to do all that censorship no more. Moscow has condemned the restrictions, labeling them a crackdown on free speech and an outright aggression. Several media experts told the New York Times that while the sanctions will sharply reduce the network's audience numbers, in short term, RT can move to other outlets for distribution, adding that the Kremlin, when thwarted in the past, has quickly devised new ways to getting the message out. Just like CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, come on. They all do it. They all do it. They all do it. But folks, AOC's always been like this, especially advocating for censorship. I want to pull up a video here from April 27th, 2023. I want to give a huge shout out to Anya from the Gray Zone. The incredible hypocrisy of AOC, who called freedom over fascism before demanding federal authority to censor the most popular news host in U.S. history. And this is when she was talking about censoring Tucker Carlson. Come on, AOC. Again, this is in 2023.
Talk about progressive values. I can say what my progressive value is, and that is freedom over fascism. I believe
freedom because fascism. Trump. Here it is, folks. It's like this. Donald Trump's scary, so we gotta censor everything. Oh my God, I can't believe this person said something nice about Trump. What do you mean you don't want to support Hillary Clinton? What do you mean you don't want to support Joe Biden? You have to be canceled. But the thing is, this is leading the way to other things. Oh, you didn't like Star Wars The Acolyte. Oh, you are a racist, bigoted, misogynist. And yes, there are people who are saying that. And there's people, let's say AOC is able to get her way. And unfortunately, I think a lot of these politicians will get their way of putting more censorship. It leads to which a lot of content creators are worried about, gee, how long is this going to last until the hammer comes down on all of us? And there are people who will abuse the censorship, who will abuse the system out of pettiness. Let's continue on.
I believe that when it comes to broadcast television, like Fox News, these are subject to federal law, federal regulation in terms of what's allowed on air and what isn't. And when you look at what Tucker Carlson and some of these other folks on Fox do, it is very, very clearly incitement of violence.
This is violence. Everything is violence. Everything is mean and scary. My feelings are hurt.
That is the line that I think we have to be willing to contend with.
Federal regulation in terms of what's allowed on air and what isn't.
And that is freedom over fascism. When we talk.
Yes, AOC. Without you, where would we be? And because of this, there's another danger where AOC is promoting, again, censorship, and that is the social media service companies are watching you. That's right. Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube's. You're being watched. Everywhere you go, they'll be watching you. Because here, something that all of you need to be well aware of. So keep your heads on a swivel, folks. It's only going to get a little scarier.
Now over your online activity. A lot of people fear all those companies are tracking you.
And now the government agrees, but this new federal report could be more widespread than you think. Fox 13's Matthew McClellan joins us live now with a closer look at this report and who could be most at risk. Good morning.
Everybody's at risk. Everybody, you, me, your dog, cats, everything.
Hey, good morning, Laura. So the two biggest red flags from this report, and I'm being very, very broad here. One is lax privacy controls, and the second is inadequate protections for kids and teenagers. In this FTC staff report out Thursday, we are finally getting some answers to longstanding questions about how these companies like Amazon, Facebook, and YouTube collect our personal and demographic info. Also, how they track this data and then use it. And while these surveillance practices are lucrative for companies, consumer protection officials are warning they can endanger your privacy, threaten your freedoms, and expose you to a host of harms, from identity theft to stalking. FTC Chair Lena Khan says what's especially troubling is several firms' failure to adequately protect kids and teens online. The report comes as lawmakers consider.
Beware of lawmakers that want to implement laws to protect you. Now, look, folks, the internet isn't a new thing. So boomers, Gen Xers, millennials, and Gen Z, it is our social responsibility to warn the next generation of just how great the internet can be, but also how dangerous it can be. It is important to protect ourselves at all times. We can't act stupid anymore. We know what the internet is capable of, and we know that there's a lot of scumbags and evil people out there. So maybe, I don't know, families, friends, help other people become internet literate, right? Because if the government starts swooping in, it's going to come swooping in with the jackboot aiming at your neck.
Legislation to protect people from abusive data practices. In the meantime, cybersecurity expert Robert Siciliano says it is on us to rein it in and be careful with the info we are voluntarily sharing.
So if they're sharing personal information about them that they don't want in the hands of a predator, an identity thief, a hacker, they need to just stop.
All of this is happening behind the scenes without consumers' awareness or really ability to control these practices.
And so much goes beyond the information that we just volunteer. Some other findings from this report that we should not overlook. Some of these companies have used your data to collect info about your income, your relationships, whether you're divorced and whether you have kids. And speaking of...
So that means whenever you see a commercial about something you were talking about, just remember, Big Brother was watching and listening to you. Don't ever disagree with Big Brother. Or wait a minute, I'm sorry. I meant Big Sister. Like, you guys, we totally have to support Kamala Harris because Trump's a very bad man. There's fascism around. Orange boogeyman bad. Stop being a free thinker. Don't look into what Democrats and Republicans did in the past. You know, I think a lot of Americans would be surprised how scummy their politicians truly are. You know, it's easy to vilify Trump. It truly is. And this is no way of me endorsing Trump or anything like that. But I am shocked at the mental gymnastics so many serious and intelligent people that I respect will go to bat for a politician that has done the same thing as Donald Trump but didn't broadcast it because they were good at hiding their intentions. Because that's what a lot of these politicians are. They're like chameleons. They're insidious parasites who look like they're here to help. But more often than not, They cause more problems. Why do you think things are so terrible? I mean, Donald Trump was only president for 4 years. You have people like Nancy Pelosi and Chucky Boy Schumer who've been in office for decades. Kind of makes you wonder that the problem was always here in the first place. And now these same politicians who are owned by the corporations who own the media now want to help implement laws on social media to dictate and how to protect you at the same time of what to see and what to think. You're not angry because?
Kids, most of their social media, their video streaming services claim not to have child users, even though they obviously do. And when it comes to privacy, services have often treated teens as adults. Meanwhile, Russell and Laura, the report recommends comprehensive federal privacy legislation that provides some baseline consumer and privacy protections. This has had bipartisan support in Congress. It is now just a matter of when this will pass.
All right. Matt McClellan live for us this morning. Matt, thank you.
Say it with me, folks. What could possibly go wrong? What could go wrong? What could go wrong? Oh, a whole lot can go wrong, my lovelies, my mornings, my sunshines. That's what could go wrong. And if you're not worried about it, you should be. If you're not concerned about it, you should be. And yet you have AOC. Here's a face. Hey, you guys, we got to rein in the media. This is a face you can trust, right? A politician would never lie to you. Nothing but good intentions.
You know, I do think that several members of Congress in some of my discussions have brought up media literacy, because that is a part of what happened here. And we're going to have to figure out how we rein in our media environment so that you can't just spew disinformation.
She didn't like probably being called out 2 weeks ago when she was attacking Jill Stein and Green Party supporters. She probably never liked the fact that in 2021 people never really forgot that she was part of that group, you know, the Force to Vote petition, and she ignored a lot of her voting base. You know, she probably doesn't like the fact that, oh my goodness, the great coalition that made up the Democratic Party in 2020 is so fractured because of the Democrats' incompetency, you know, and she doesn't want anyone to be talking about that on social media. But yet this is a way to rein in the media.
And misinformation. It's one thing to have differing opinions, but it's another thing entirely to just say things that are false.
So let's take a step back and look at some key stories that forever shook the foundations of the world and helped really create this environment that we're in. So remember when there were just a few brave individuals calling out the fact of, hey, are we certain that there are no weapons of mass destruction in Iraq? Oh, canceled. Fired. And hey, we got this forever war going on now for what? 23 years? It could buy a beer. It can go to school now. Go to college now, actually. Yeah. Oh, wait, let's not look into the fact of the Hunter Biden laptop story. That was deemed fake news. Fake news. Oh, my God. Oh, wait, what about the war in Gaza or the war in Ukraine right now? All the fake stories that happen up there, right? Oh, wait, what about the people who caused the 2008 economic collapse? You know, boy, oh boy, I hope the media held them accountable. Oh, wait, no, they didn't. They didn't. Oh, my God. Russiagate, Russia. Oh, wait, how about this? Wait. What about the fact, calling out the fact that in 2020 and 2016, you know, Democratic primary was rigged, you know, DNC was working all it could to really control people being free thinkers. Remember that? And, you know, I paused this video at a perfect time because I got AOC like looking at me like, Kit, you better stop spewing facts to people or you're going to hurt my feelings. We have politicians that want to do everything they can to silence you, to rein in new laws. Take it from Hardland's media. I seen it from my own account of what happens when these politicians weigh in and start dictating what we can and cannot talk about. I've seen firsthand what it's like to be censored, to be suppressed, to be terminated, to be demonetized. It's not a fun experience. And I've seen unhinged people on the left and the right calling for more censorship and suppression, and their favorite Democratic and Republican politician are more than happy to listen to their subservient sheep, to comply with them so that their sheep could be censored even more.
Radio station just censored the word devil. Clearly, we are on a different level. I guess you wouldn't notice all the rolling boulders crashing past your shoulders when you're taught to shift your focus lower, scream at all the pebbles, cheering on the bombers because you can't abide the rebels. But I bet you'll wring your bloody hands when all the dust has settled, when the last little limb is pulled from Gaza's twisted metal. Then you can say how you were led astray, and never once in all your days would you have knowingly supported all the genocide for which you clapped and prayed. But they baited you with unconfirmed blurbs about babies until you were filled with rage. Yet someone told you babies had been starving, bombed, and caged for nearly 80 years in Gaza, and you looked the other way. So regret, but make it fashion. Go and pluck that final petal off a hyacinth on Instagram for every kid they kettled. Every son that Israel imprisoned when they're little, that they tortured for a decade, then surprised with their acquittal. And when they got released and saw their parents, and whatever siblings hadn't met the missiles, they stared right through their middle. Their eyes don't seem to focus, and their words are all but dribble, like they're pondering the darkest riddle. That is, how many false flags does it take to make humanity inhuman and uncivil, distorted by the revel? The crooked slant where Israel contorts into America, Biden bathing Bibi in a bloodbath in the bevel. I opened up my feed and I saw children disassembled. Turned some music on and heard the station censor devil. Imagine thinking Doja Cat's a threat to moral fabric in the single largest terror cell that ever felled a temple, that ever sparked a cleansing, that ever burned a market, that ever raped with bayonets or carpet-bombed apartments, that ever turned your water off and left you in the darkness, left you doing surgery on children while they're conscious. You sing the devil's praises every time you sing our anthem. You sing a hymn to him that watched us birth a million phantoms. You'll proudly wave his flag, and yet you will not name the devil? Well, clearly, we are on a different level. I can give you names, shit, I'll give you several. They say the devil wears a different face for every general, like a composite of the char he brought to fields of emerald, and the wail of every childhood we made ephemeral. So who else has left the stain of blood on everything they touch? Who else can starve civilians and they don't so much as blush? Who else has paid for Gaza being flattened into dust? If there's ever been a devil on this earth, then it is us. That's U.S. What an ugly couple letters. Feeding shit and ignorance to those it chose to tether. From the river to the sea, both are slowly growing redder. For the devil that you know just knows you better. It knows every gut reaction it could ever make you feel. It knows fear is that which wakes you up and gets you on your wheel. It knows just the kind of story that will justify its war. And the scripts are wrapped for World War IV. So just imagine my surprise to give the radio a listen and to hear such pious morals out of Zionists and Christians that they'd take the devil's name and try to clip it from existence while they carry out his bloody business. You would wave a fascist flag, and yet you honor not your Iblis? Name you not Apollyon? Hush you now your witness? Bleed the name of Belial till tongue is rolling listless in the man-made mouth of Mammon, as Lamia's whispers listen. When carts are wheeling bodies through the cities that we crushed, and the very air is rotten with decay of all that was, who else would censor devil yet behave as Legion does? If there's ever been a devil on this earth, then it is us. U.S., but not a unity of souls. More a mass of corporations turning houses into holes, turning people into puppets, turning puppets into mold, turning mold into nutrition bars worth their weight in gold because they're bombing every bakery and burning every field with phosphorus that never once has wanted for a meal. The devil wears a mask and it delights in the reveal, in that moment where the face is let to peel. We do not love the underdog. We do not cheer the rebels. We lust for all their blood until the dust has finally settled. Then pity just ourselves that we were so misled to revel. Proudly wave his flag, and yet we will not name the devil.